great honor of introducing Colonel Kip Clark. He's the commander of the 181st Intelligent Wing from Pullman Field. Let's welcome our hometown boy, guys.
All right. Thanks, Chandra. Appreciate it. Mayor, it's good to see you. Friends and lots of family here today. So the strategy of that is something that we thought out. If you start booing me, my family's supposed to cheer louder than the boos. So we had to bring a lot of family. So my mom and dad, Janice and L.T. Clark, my sister Bryn, Tress, and Yates, my cousin Micah, my niece and great nephew and great niece, my niece Jenny Trussler. Kim Sterling's back there, also cousin. So we're out in full force. It really is great to be here today, and thanks for asking me. It's great to be from such a wonderful hometown. My wife and I moved away several years ago for a couple years, then we moved back, then moved away again, and it was always fantastic coming home. And the support over the years have been really more than anyone could ask for. Before I forget, speaking of my family, my closest family, my wife Sheila, former Sheila Burke, grew up just right over there. A couple weeks ago or a month ago, whenever we came up with this date for me to speak, she goes, "Do I need to go to that?" She goes, "I've heard you talk before." I said, "I'll give you a pass." And then my oldest daughter, she's a Butler graduate, a physician's assistant, and a recent racer. She signed up at the 181st Intelligence Wing a couple months ago. So she's going to be a physician's assistant in our medical group over there. And then my youngest daughter, Kaylee, is in Zimbabwe right now on she says it's an internship, and I don't know. I think it just may be recreation. But she is sent as evidence of being out on safaris and stuff like that. She's a junior at IU, and Sheila and I are really proud of both of our daughters. Well, today what my plan is to talk a little bit about the 181st Intelligence Wing. It's changed a lot over the last 7 or 8 years. We flew airplanes there from 1954 to 2007. Matter of fact, at 14:32 or 2:32 in the afternoon on September 8th, 2007, the last operational mission flew out of there. Since that time, we have converted a fighter wing to an intelligence wing. What that consisted of was a Herculean effort by a lot of our airmen. We converted 1,000 airmen that were responsible for flying or fixing airplanes or supporting flying airplanes into an intelligence wing. So we no longer have airplanes out there, but the mission that we do now has a vital contribution every day to the fight around the globe. A little bit about our wing as far as the demographics of our wing. We have just over 900 airmen. Of those airmen, there are 30 state employees, 28 defense contractors from Raytheon, L3, SAIC, Lockheed Martin, and Goodrich. But most of our folks over there are uniform-wearing airmen. And of those airmen, there are approximately, it varies from week to week, but 275 full-time employees. And the rest of those airmen, with the exception of the state employees are full-time and the contractor are full-time, so that puts us about 325. The remainder, approximately 600 airmen, are drill status guardsmen. We call them drill status guardsmen in that they're there 1 weekend a month and 2 weeks out of the year, and they work in our community, they live in our community. Of the 92 counties in our state, airmen from the 181st live in 65 of those counties. Now, the majority of the airmen do live in Vigo, Clay, and the surrounding counties. There's a a considerable number also from the Indianapolis area. But I think it's important to know that they do live in 65 of the 92 counties in our state, and they also reside in 18 states. It gives you, I think, an indication and a perspective on the commitment of our airmen. Many drive hours to come to a drill weekend or go on deployments. They come from many other states. They come from, a lot of them live in the Gulf Coast region and the East Coast region, because that's where a lot of the jobs are that relate to what we do at our base. And I'll get to a point I want to make a little later on relating to the technology aspect and why I believe today's discussion is important to a Chamber of Commerce or to the citizens of our county. There are fantastic leverage points within the 181st Intelligence Wing that transfer over to the civilian job market sector, and we'll cover that a little later. So anyway, we have over 900 airmen, and within that wing there are three main groups. The structure of an Air Force wing is the highest, then it's made up of groups, then it's divided down into squadrons. Of the three groups, one group is the intelligence group. 385 airmen that are trained in intelligence gathering and also computer technology. As you might imagine, when we execute our mission, it is very dependent upon computer technology and software and communication technology. The other group is the medical group. The medical group, the main purpose of the medical group is to ensure our medical readiness. They don't do, it's not a medical clinic. It is just, they give physicals to ensure we're medically ready and meet the medical requirements of the Air Force. We do have one organization in the medical group called a SURF-P. The military is great at acronyms, and they really overdid it on this one because this is an acronym in an acronym. And it stands for Chemical, Biological, Radiological, Nuclear, Enhanced Force Package. Whew. But they have a very unique capability. And they are one of the very few organizations within the entire Air Force that is solely designed to provide medical response to the home fight. They don't deploy. If there is some natural or man-made disaster within our state or our FEMA region, it can go in the whole United States, but our specific organization, the SURF-P, is designed for our state and our FEMA region. So if something, God forbid, like a dirty bomb went off in Indianapolis, we can pack up 38 people, have them on location, and they have these huge tents that they perform triage for. They can perform triage for 300 patients an hour. It is actually a conveyor belt, and also while they're doing this, they decontaminate them if there is any type of contamination in that nuclear, biological, chemical, radiological. They are trained to decontaminate them and provide that first response medical. So we've covered the intel group and the medical group, and the last group is the mission support group. Our wing, our base, is much like a small city. We have many requirements to make sure that infrastructure is intact. We have civil engineers, we have security forces, we have communication flights, we have a myriad of job titles and what we call AFSCs, Air Force Specialty Codes, that can ensure that our infrastructure and our communication supports the mission. So none of that goes down while we're supporting the mission every day. So 3 groups. We do have 1 squadron that doesn't fall inside a group, and it's an Air Support Operations Squadron. It's 75 battlefield airmen, and the design, their capability is to deploy with the Army and be the air expert to the ground commander. These guys are out on the front lines. They are probably the closest thing that the Air Force has in Special Forces. Some of them are jump qualified. Many of them have deployed with the Special Forces in Iraq, Afghanistan, and some other areas. And they're capable in a variety of weapons. But they're a squadron that sits outside a group and report directly to the wing headquarters. So that gives you a little idea of our mission or the design of our wing. I'm going to tell you as much as I can about the specifics of our intelligence group. Our intelligence group ingests or receives information from a variety of platforms, airborne platforms. A Predator and Reaper, those are unmanned, medium altitude aircraft that can stay airborne for 20 hours or more. They have sensors on that aircraft that we receive at our base. We also receive information from the U-2, which is a manned high-altitude aircraft above 60,000 feet. There's a multitude of sensors on that aircraft that we also ingest at our base. And then there's a high-altitude unmanned aircraft called a Global Hawk. The Global Hawk is an unmanned aircraft, a little bigger than like a Cessna 182, above 60,000 feet, and again, multiple sensors that we ingest. One of the amazing things I think about the airmen in our wing is that we manipulate sensors and we talk to the pilots from Terre Haute anywhere around the globe. And so it is a capability that is unlike any capability or any aircraft that we've had stationed there. When the airmen drive through the gate at Terre Haute now, or at the 181st Intel Wing, they have an immediate impact on the battle space. In the old days when we had airplanes, we would come to the base every day to train. And we'd fly every day, and believe me, it was fantastic. And we loved it. And we still do. We came into the base every day to train, or support training. Today we come into the base every day. Someone that lives down the street from where you live, they go onto our operations floor, and they may be talking to an airplane, to a pilot, over Afghanistan, or over the Pacific, and we will adjust flight paths, we will adjust sensors to meet the needs of the most important people, or the people on the ground. And we can supply that information in the time and fidelity to make the correct decisions. And I think that's powerful. And it's humbling to be a part of. However, this is one of the things that I would ask if you know anybody that works over there. This type of mission comes with great challenge to our personal resiliency, or our airmen's personal resiliency. And it's unlike challenges that we face when we deploy. I'll just speak for myself. When I've deployed overseas, when I'm over there, I don't really think much about my family. And most of your deployers don't. We don't have an opportunity to. And quite frankly, it would be distracting. Now certainly when we lay our head down on the pillow at night, our families, I'll get through this. They are on mine. But in Terre Haute, here's the challenges. When you're on the ops floor and you're supporting a combat mission and you walk out of that building, you can't talk about it. It's top secret. The things you see and the things you are a part of and the effects that you make on the battle space cannot be talked about outside the base. You can't even talk to someone else that's a part of that mission outside of the base or outside of that building. So our folks are leaving that ops floor and they're going home and they have a hard time releasing and relaxing. Now fortunately the Air Force has got us a director of psychological health. They've got us chaplains and they're cleared. They have the top secret clearance. So these folks, if they want to talk about things they've seen or been a part of, they can. And that's been a world of help. And we've made strides in this weapon system. In the ISR community, up until last year, had the highest suicide rate of any Air Force career field. And I think some of those things that we're doing to mitigate that have lowered it. It's still too high. It always will be. But we have lowered it, and I think some of those things have helped us mitigate the suicide rate. All right. Now I want to go in and talk to why I think it's important that we have the discussion about the 181st Intelligence Wing and how it relates to Chamber of Commerce. The Air National Guard, unlike our active component, has three pillars. We support our community, our state, and our nation. A lot of times you'll hear this conversation, it'll be two, community and nation, or state and nation. At the 181st, we like to say our community, state, and nation. I've talked about how we support our nation in the fight in our war on terror, wherever it is around the globe. And I've talked a little bit about our support through the SURF-P, our local. But when we talk about community, state, and nation, I think it's important that our community here, geographic community, and our community in Vigo, Clay, and Sullivan, and Park, and Vermilion County, and across the river, understand the attributes and the leverage points that reside in our wing at the 181st. The most important thing we have at the 181st is certainly not our multi-million-dollar equipment. It's not. It's not the infrastructure. It's not any of the technology. The most important thing we have at the 181st, and I know what I'm going to say, is the human capital. The Air Force has invested hundreds of millions of dollars to train our airmen. Hundreds of millions. These are highly technical positions. They're highly educated airmen. I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I know it's well over 60% of our airmen have college degrees. A lot of the training that they receive is graduate level training. It is incumbent upon our wing to educate our community on those attributes so industry can be attracted to this area. If you look around Holman Field today, on the civilian side, there's not very much there. We have 9,200 feet of runway on one runway, 7,000 on another. We have an air traffic control tower, and we don't have anything else. I shouldn't say that. Stark Industries is doing great things there on the base. Hoosier Aviation is doing good things. But what I'm saying is we have lots of room for growth. So I think it is a fantastic leverage point for a chamber, for a community to highlight when it comes to attracting business. So we have real estate, we have people that are highly trained, technically trained. We have 7 defense contractors that currently reside within the wing with Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Goodrich, SAIC, L3, Tiger. I think it is the potential that we have to grow industry around our airfield. is great. Not to mention our educational institutions. The perennial #1 in the country engineering school is 3 miles from the base. ISU is one of very few universities in the country that has an unmanned aerial system program. We have Crane just south, not an education institution, but many organizations that key on sensors and aviation-related technologies. We have Atterbury Range, Muscatatuck Urban Training Center, and Jefferson Proving Ground in our state. We have an A-10 unit, and we have a tanker unit at Grissom. Just Atterbury is 33,000 square feet and square mile, 33,000 acres, and Jefferson Proving Grounds 50,000 acres with hundreds of square miles of airspace above. And the reason I mention that relates to the unmanned aerial systems that we are familiar with at our mission set, and that is a $300 billion growth industry over the next 10 years. And we have the capability within our state, with those assets I mentioned, with the technology and the training of our airmen to grow defense-related industry in relation to those things I mentioned. I think it's a fantastic opportunity that we have here in the Wabash Valley. Unlike any other area, certainly within our state, and I would argue probably east of the Mississippi, there's nothing like it. Sitting here in the uniform, I'm not supposed to really talk about that type of topic. It's supposed to be pretty much directly military related, but I am a resident. I am from here. As Chandra mentioned, I am a hometown guy, and I'm concerned about our citizens and where we go from here and how we can grow industry. So I'll close with that and leave time for any questions. I probably talked too long. I have a tendency to do that. Does anybody have anything for me? Nothing?
I have one thing.
Yeah.
We've been working with the school corporation to make sure that kids leave school prepared for a career. What is the best preparation for being part of the 181st?
Great question. The best preparation is to graduate, be healthy, be drug-free. If you graduate from high school with those 3 things, your potential is unlimited. There's a variety of positions out in our wing, and a varying degree of aptitude requirements. Most of those requirements can be met. Some of them, the intel and some of the computer technology is pretty high. But I would say if a person graduates from high school, keeps their nose clean, healthy, in good shape, and drug-free, they can write their ticket. Looking like a knucklehead like me. I've been in 31 years, in September it'll be 31 years. And I know people in this, my family's probably heard me say this, and other people too. If I had another 100, I could not give back what I've been doing. No way. And it's not just the things I've got to do. I've got to fly the greatest fighter in the history of the world. I've got to travel around the world, but that's not it. The people I've got to meet in those 31 years far exceed anything else I've received. But in 100 years, if I tried to give it back, I couldn't. There is no way. It's been fantastic. So I encourage you, if you have somebody that's getting ready to graduate high school, and it doesn't have to be at the 181st, although we'd love to have them. And by the way, it must be a pretty good place to work. We're almost 100% manned, and our retention is over 95%. So it's a pretty good place to work. I love going to work every day. So thanks for setting me up on that one. I love it. I literally can't wait to open up my eyes in the morning to get up out of bed and go to work. Does anybody have anything else? Nothing? Well, I certainly appreciate you have taken the time to be here today, and the support that this community has given the 181st and the airmen of the 181st has been phenomenal. And I just want to thank you for that. So that's it. Thank you.